All right, here we go. We are going to talk about angle relations in circles. I'm going to do my all my announcements in the second video of today, just to see if I get any questions so I can include it in that video. If not, I'll have 3 videos to answer questions if we have any. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and just get started right away with this. As always, you're supposed to take your notes first. There are some theorems, and I told you one theorem. We're just going to make a chart, and so be ready to do that. I think I need to turn on the light. There we go. And so I've added some another coin. Here we go. I've added this one. It is a coin from Hong Kong before England left it. So when it was still English property. All right, there it is. Yay. Pretty exciting stuff. Make it a little more interesting. All right, let's go ahead and get started with this. I don't need my circles right now, so I'm going to take them away. I'll probably leave out this one. That one's a good one. And we're going to, the tangent intersection chord theorem. So you did that one. It's basically a formula. So that's all you really need to know about this. I probably need to take away, no, we're good so far. Basically is you got a tangent out here. Yay. And 1 point, and then we got a line. Okay, and so basically what it's stating, I'm going to change it a little bit around. Basically what it's stating, of course I didn't do it the right way in the book, but that's okay. So I'm going to call this 1 and this 2, and then it will line up with the book. I'm going to call this X and this Y, just so I can do it in a slightly different way to help you understand it. So when I say X, I mean that is X. When I say Y, I mean that is Y. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just write the formula a little bit differently than they got it, just to make sure you understand it. So the measure of angle 1 is going to equal 1/2 Y. Does that make sense? It's kind of like that's the projector, that's the movie screen. The measure of angle 2 is going to equal 1/2 X. Okay, that's what it states. It basically is kind of like the inscribed angle, but it's not quite the same because it's not fully inscribed. One line is, but then it has a tangent, so it's basically the same. Okay, so let's move on to what I think is going to be important here, and we are going to look at 3 different cases, and so I want you to kind of construct this in your notes here. And so let's just construct a little table in your notes, and let's see how it works. Okay. And I'll just do this. Okay, what we're going to need to know is we're going to need to know, let's do 3 columns. I like 3 columns today. My top line is not very good. All right, I'm going to take away this junk so we don't block our writing. Okay. So there's 3 ways that these angles are going to be in here. So they're going to be, the first way is going to be on the circle. Okay, first way is going to be on the circle. And we actually know how to do this already, so I'm going to get my circle here. And so we're going to look at the formula for this one. Okay, on the circle means that it is going to be an inscribed angle. Okay, so I'm just going to put my little angle here. And my little point of contact here. So that angle is on the circle. Okay, and so basically what we are going to do is we need to know the arcs and the non-arcs. So this is on the circle, so I'm going to call this, we'll call this 1 here. Actually, let me do this, yeah, we're going to do this 1, and we're going to call this arc AB. So that's A and that's B. And so basically what the formula is the measure of angle 1. And this is theorem 10.10 inscribed angle theorem. It is not actually in your book here. It's in earlier on. So the measure of angle 1 is going to be equal to 1/2 the measure of arc AB. Okay, that's all there. So the next thing that we can do here is going to be inside the circle. Okay, so we're going to draw our little circle here. And yes, I like using these coins. They make bigger circles than quarters. All right. And that's a little neater. So inside basically means we're going to have an X inside. Okay. And so basically what this is theorem 1015. And so we're going to just kind of go through this and look at this. And so 1015, I'm going to call this angle 1. And I'm going to call this other one angle 2. And we're going to have AB. Do it as much like the book as possible. DC. Okay. And so what we're going to have is we're going to have two formulas here. Okay. So the measure of angle 1 is going to equal 1/2 in parentheses measure of DC plus measure of AB. Okay, let me write that a little better. I ran out of room with my camera. 1/2 measure of DC plus measure of AB. There we go. All right, so that's what that is. It is a plus, so make sure you get this plus. It is also in your book on page 507. 507. All right, and so the other one, measure of angle 2, is going to equal 1/2 measure of AD. I'm going to go over this to make sure you get it. Plus measure of BC. Okay, so basically, let's look at 1 here. 1 is looking at DC right here, and it's looking at AB. Okay, so basically we just add those two arcs together, divide by 2, and that's going to equal measure of angle 1. And of course, I didn't put this earlier, but this also would be measure of 1 because of vertical angle, and this also would be 2. Okay, so it works for any of those angles. Okay, and so purple is AD, so that's right here. Let's just color that purple. And BC. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Wow, I got out of control with that purple, but it's that arc. All right, so that's the next one. Okay, so now we're going to have the last one. Unfortunately, the last one is going to involve a lot of different examples. So we're going to get our 3 angles, 3 circles, if we can. And I might run out of room. That's the unfortunate aspect of using actual paper. All right. Pretty close to good. All right. So this is going to be outside the circle. Okay, so this is all going to be outside the circle. Circle. Okay. So I want more room. So we're going to do this. So just have it in your little chart here. So basically, once you chart, you want your 3 circles outside the circle. And then we're going to put our little formulas right here. But I do things so big, so you can see it maybe on your phone, that I don't have room. So we're going to start with the first thing that goes in that chart. Okay, the first thing that goes in that chart is going to look like this. Okay. I'm going to make it like this right here. Okay, I'm just going to make a note. This is 2 tangents because they touch one place. Okay, and I didn't do a very good job touching, but it's supposed to. So we're going to call this angle 1. Okay, and we're going to have this be A, B, we're going to have C. I think your book goes in a different order, and so it will all work out. It'll be fine. So this is 2 tangents. So the formula here is going to be the measure of angle 1 is going to be equal, because we're dealing with numbers, 1/2 the measure of, and it's going to be the big one, the measure of BCA minus the small one, measure of BA. All right, I'm going to highlight this so you know what I'm talking about. That. And this. Okay. And so it's always going to be a positive number because your major arc is always going to be bigger than your minor arc. Okay, that's the first one of these. And this is going to be an open notes test. So I want you to understand that I want you to take good notes, because I want you to have these formulas so you can identify the shape and have these formulas. So the next one I'm going to do is going to have a secant and a tangent. Remember, a secant touches the circle twice, and the tangent touches it just one time. Okay, so here's our points of attack here. A, B, C, I'll call this D, F, G. You can't use E because it represents a number, and we're not going there right now. That's algebra 2. Okay, so hopefully we're hearing me fine. I'm right by the microphone, so feedback on that would be great at some point. I'm going to call this angle 2 just so we got it down. Okay, so here we go. The formula is going to be measure of angle 2, and I should have put a tangent and secant. So that's tangent and a secant. And before I start writing, I need my little pad here. Measure of angle 2 is going to equal 1/2. And this is a little bit different. So it's going to be, in this case, FG. Measure of FG plus, by that I mean minus, measure of DG. DG. And I don't know why I did that. Let me clean that up. Measure of angle 2 equals 1/2. And it's all in parentheses. All right, just get rid of that. That's ugly. All right, because I used a lowercase g and it bothered me. All right, so that's what we got. So let's highlight it so we know what we're talking about. So FG is going to be here. And DG is going to be here. Okay. We got one more. Apparently Apparently I'm changing the color of the circle to red, just to be exciting. Okay, and so this one is going to be 2 secants. So 2 secants. And some of you probably can guess the formula already. All right, so I'm going to call this H, J, K, and L. I is also something in number, so I usually try not to use an I. You'll do that in algebra 2. All right, here we go with this formula. So this is going to be, let's call it angle 3. So this is going to be the measure of angle 3 is going to equal 1/2 the measure of JL, that's the arc, minus the measure of HK. All right, again, this is what it is. It is this minus this. Okay, they're basically all the same formula, but just so you can see it looking differently, you can just see that it's basically the arc in between that you're doing, and you're going to take the big one and subtract the little one. If you get a negative number, you're wrong. So just know that, because this is real, which means that this angle has to be positive. Okay, so that's basically all the theorems that we need. The last theorem is their circumscribed angle is an angle whose sides are tangent to a circle, and the measure of a circumscribed angle is equal to 180 minus the measure of the central angle that intercepts the same arc. So we'll just do a little example here of that. Here, I'll freehand this for speed. Circle. Well, that's what I get for freehanding, huh? We'll do it right. Let's try to make the video shorter, but that's okay. Okay. So we already saw this tangent thing, so it's kind of an additional thing for this. And so this is connecting to the point of tangency, and these are radii. If I can make this work. Okay, great. So basically what this is saying is this, we'll call this angle 1, we'll call this angle 2. The measure of the circumscribed angle is equal to 180 minus the measure of the central angle that intercepts it. So basically, measure of angle 1 equals 180 minus measure of angle 2. That's the formula. And that's what we did. It's the same thing in your book, basically, but I just try to write it in a different way so you can kind of see it differently. So that's that. We can go ahead and start. We can go ahead and start looking at problems, see if there's any issues with these. Let's see what our video is at. It's at 18 minutes. So let me go ahead and just do a couple of these problems that you're going to be facing. We'll do number 3, and it might not be number 3 in your assignment, but it's number 3 in your book. So you should see one just like this. Of course. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll just set it up. We'll do this. We'll do it this way. That way you can kind of see what it's going to look like, and you'll be all good. All right, so here we go. I just lost my stickies. All right, that's fine. I'll use this other paper. So there it is. So it says line T is a tangent to the circle. Find the indicated measure. That says 65. And so what you're going to want to do is find the arc of AB. So remember the formula was just this. 65 equals 1/2 the measure of AB. Okay, and so I'm just going to call, instead of AB, I'm just going to assign that X. So I'm going to write 65 equals 1/2 X. And 1/2 is the same thing as times 2 to both sides, so that's just 2 times 65 equals X. 2 times 65 equals X, so X, of course, is going to equal 1/3. Okay, let's see if that makes sense. Okay, yeah. That's smaller angle, bigger. So that's how all those are going to be, just like that. Okay, we're going to move on, found it. Move on to the harder problems to me. And you're going to do all of these. That's a little bit crooked. So these will be in order. So basically we want to set these up. Just use your formula. And just remember, it's big and then small is usually how it works. So remember, inside 7. Which formula am I going to use on 7? Well, it's inside. So the formula is X is going to equal 1/2, parentheses, big, inside is plus 85. Okay, that's the setup. Okay, this is outside. So 9, the setup is going to be, well, they give me the answer, so that's 29, is going to equal 1/2, big, and I guarantee you this one's bigger because it's further away from the angle. 114 minus little, because it's an outside, so we use minus. And that's going to be it. We're just going to have to do some algebra to solve it. Okay? So that's basically how we're going to do those problems. Okay? So they're not going to re-test you right now on the ones that are on the circle because we did that in an earlier section. So that's basically it. I think you can handle this stuff. I'm going to be careful not do any trig problems. There are some on this assignment. And so we're going to get that done. So I'm going to post this assignment, and then we're going to do one more section in the circle today. And so there's going to be a separate video for that. So I'm sorry this was a little long. Until next time, bye. Oh, get the answers. Get the answers.